Hello, everyone. Once again, you're listening to Sunday Brunch with Adrian Goodson. And as usual, we have an all-star cast of ballers, which makes for a great show, featuring Dereck Anderson, a.k.a. Mr. Kentucky, a.k.a. Mr. Buckets, who graduated from Doss High School out of Kentucky. He played college ball at Ohio State University and the University of Kentucky, where we know him so well from winning a championship. In 1986, he helped win a championship for the University of Kentucky with the NCAA Men's Basketball Championship under Coach Rick Pitino. He was selected by the Cleveland Cavaliers as the 13th overall pick in the 1997 NBA draft. In addition, he played for the Clippers, the Spurs, Trailblazers, Rockets, the Heat, where he won a championship, and then finally, the Bobcats. Dereck, welcome to the Sunday Brunch.
You know it's good to be here, Adrian. Always good to see my people.
Absolutely. We haven't seen each other since, or talked to each other in a minute, but we've had conversations after we were in the NBA assistant coaches program in 2018, and that was awesome. To get the opportunity to do some work with you guys and get to know you guys and see how you guys function and flow on that other side. I mean, you're from Louisville, Kentucky. Actually, you are from the area where basketball was discovered. Take us back and talk to us a little bit about your walk and, some of the things that influenced you and how you started, bouncing the basketball.
Well, I think when I grew up, it was the Muhammad Ali era where he was pretty much coming back to Louisville and showing us that, black kids could make it from the hood. And
Wow.
for us, we had seen so much negativity that it was just like, oh, man, what other options do we have? So to see him say, hey, you can make anything out of yourself, just do the right thing, be a good person. We started to go through our neighborhoods and everybody just started being cool with each other, where normally we would be with odds at each other because you're from a different project. But he kind of brought stability and showed us that. Then Daryl Griffin came along, and then we started watching him. And then we had more people in our path that were successful outside of the streets. So we grab a hold to sports. Me being 11 years old, I never played basketball. I played football. And just in the neighborhood. But then when you start playing basketball, and then my home life was messed up. My dad left at 10, and I came home to an empty apartment at the age of 11, and I didn't see either one of my parents for 20 years. So I grew up in the projects with other people. And this is like 83 and 84. So I just gravitated to basketball, saying, you know what? If I do good in school, I'm a good person. I play basketball. I can get a better life. I followed that, and I did it, and that's how I started, and I just kept moving on from that.
Wow. And that's an awesome testimony, something that people just absolutely have no idea about you. And I was reading about that, and you said it exactly how I read it, where you were, you came home to an empty apartment and, all of a sudden you were, being taken care of by the streets and learning from the streets. And what an awesome testimony to have someone like a Muhammad Ali come back home, come into town and then scoop you up and take you under his wing and say, hey, listen, if I can make it, you can too. And, for a man who survived through so many things that we could never even imagine having survived through, to come back into town and say something like that to you, that was definitely a building block for you to just take off. And you took off, Doss High School, you had a fantastic career. You went to Ohio State. Sometimes we go to schools and we find out that that's not what's for us. But I can tell you what, when you went to Kentucky, that's when everybody knew your name.
Yeah, no. Well, a lot of people knew me at Ohio State, but Ohio State wasn't winning as much as Kentucky, because we played against. So when you're a hooper, people recognize it. But when I went to Kentucky and I showcased my game on this big stage, it changed my life. It changed everything. And but again, like when you spoke about Muhammad Ali, him coming back and talking to people and talking to normal people, he didn't know we were going to be successful. He just had a kind word to say to us. And that's what we needed. We needed some good, kind words. We didn't need everybody trying to be tough and gangster. We wanted to see a different avenue, and he gave us that. He told me, read books. Well, nobody reading books like that as far as just reading regular books. He said, read something that's going to broaden your mind, not so much, like a Nelson Mandela Bella. He said, read something that says positive stuff to build your mind, your character up. So for me, it was just an amazing feeling to have someone like him come back home.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And then you go from, you go from high school and you go over to Kentucky University. Not only are you a standout, but you're also playing with other standouts, Antoine Walker, Tony Delk. What was it like playing on a team with them and winning the championship? You guys had a fantastic team, but I tell you, there was a lot of talent on that team, but you stood out. I remember watching you in that championship game, and I mean, young fella, you went off.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Well, I think what happened was I had already knew I was good because I played against those guys a couple years before, and I had like 20-something points. So playing against them when I got to Kentucky wasn't a fear factor where a lot of guys be like, they got to prove themselves. So what I did was I took a back seat because we had Antoine, Tony Delk. Like they shot most of the balls. They had already been there in my first year playing. And I didn't want to come in and be on a losing team. So guess what I did? I sacrificed. I averaged like 10 points. But I was at Ohio State averaging 16 and 5, 6 assists. Like I could have did more, but I knew for us to win, we had to have sacrifice type of players. So for me, I wanted to do that for our team. And Ron Mercer we had 7 McDonald's all
man.
7. Like that's incredible. Like you had 7. I mean, and then we had some guys on our bench that were really like they're Mr. Basketballs of their hometown and couldn't even get in the game because it was so talent. It was like crazy. So, but Coach Pitino did one good thing. He told us this. He said, "You live in the precious present, and you'll never have to worry about what tomorrow brings." He said, "If you handle your business today, tomorrow will take care of itself." And from that point on, man, we just played together. We hung out together. 14 of us go to the bowling alley. 14 of us go to the movie theaters. We wasn't with our girls. They were like, "Where y'all going?" It's like the team's golden. We sticking together. We gonna make this work. And we didn't have animosity because we hung out with each other. But when you get clicks and you see that now, like 3 or 4 dudes hang with 3, and then other crew hang with other crews, like you got animosity because they don't know each other. We wasn't like that. We all stung out. And so when we got on the basketball court, it was like if somebody got 20, we was hyping him up to get 30. Antoine get rolling. Come on, Twan, go to work. Tony get hot. Shoot that thing, Tony. Like we were motivating each other instead of arguing with each other. And that's why we beat everybody by 27 points the whole year. I mean, we were undefeated. We beat everybody by 27 points a game.
You guys were rolling. I swear, you guys were rolling. And then, I forgot even about Ron Mercer. Ron Mercer was he was a beast itself, and it's funny how you guys all ended up, and you guys all ended up in that same kind of circle when you go to the pros, San Antonio and Houston, and then we'll get to that too. But all of those things that were happening to you, I remember as a kid when I was playing basketball and I'm getting ready to go to high school to college, and then going from college to making the jump to go to overseas. I was a little more, I was more grown, but I still needed mentors and I needed people to help me. But when you're in that period of time where you're making that transition from high school to college, it's so important who you listen to and who's in your ear and those people that you surround yourself with. Who were those people that you surrounded yourself with? Who were your mentors?
Well, for me, my mentors was growing up with school teachers because they were telling me the realization of life. They weren't telling me to put all my eggs, just say, hey, if you don't make basketball, you're not going to do anything. They were always saying, hey, take your schoolwork as serious as you took your basketball. So they say take both the same way. So I would get on the school bus, do that. Some of school teachers that. But I will be honest, the most influential person I ever had is to hang around with was another basketball player. A football player who became my best friend. And he and I saw people go to jail, died at a young age. So he and I said, man, we got to look out for each other. He said, if I'm going to pull your coattail, you pull mine if I'm messing up. So we held each other accountable. He late for school, man, come on, you got to do 50 push-ups, come on. So if I'm running late, he going to come knock on my door because I didn't have an alarm clock, so he would come knock on my door. Like, we actually looked out for each other. So I didn't have like an older role model. I mean, him and I just happened to be mature enough to say we're not selling dope, we're not smoking, we're not drinking, we're not partying. We're going to go to school, play sports, and get out of these projects. So we kind of held each other to a standard. And then I watched other athletes like Daryl Griffin and all them. I saw how they didn't do things. So I kind of watched from a distance, and I just took it from there. But I think now if you got a lot more successful people, you should look at someone who's been there before. A lot of these kids they listen to a guy who's never done nothing in his life. He's an AAU coach, and then you're going to say, well, he's telling me this. Well, he's never done it. How you going to listen to him? Like if someone's telling you that they've been there before, you want to listen to them so you can avoid the pitfalls or the mistakes that they made. So I would always tell someone to listen to somebody who's been there before. You can listen to everybody, but you gotta hone in to the people who've been there before because they've lived it. So they can actually tell me what I need to do, what I need to learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so important the people that you hang out with for you to be on the same page. Because if you're hanging out with 3 or 4 thugs, then there you are. You're
Mm-hmm.
hanging out with 3 or 4 scholars, then there you are. And it really does define you, you know. And then, you know, the thing about basketball, the beautiful thing about basketball is that you get the opportunity to be around people that are just as great as you are, you know, within, you know, with your talent and also, you know, in character. And, you know, you could be the most talented person in the world, but it's not your talent that's going to keep you. It's your character that's going to keep you there. And I tell young people all of the time, listen, you know, you could be a great player, but you know, you got to also be good in the locker room. That's really, really important. You have to be a good teammate. You got to be a good person. You know, you got to be you got to be click free, and it's important. And the thing about the cliques, you know, you get in trouble for being in a clique, and then you get in trouble for not being in a clique. So it's just it's a two-edged sword when you're playing sports, and that's why you have to be so mentally sound, and not only mentally sound, physically sound, but more importantly, spiritually sound. And once again, you're listening to Sunday Brunch with Adrian Goodson. I have Dereck Anderson here on the show with me. We're just chopping it up, talking about things, talking about times. You know, right now is a really difficult time, Dereck, and you know, there's a lot of people out here nowadays. You know, it's COVID. You know, we have social reform. We got issues going on all across the board. How have you been surviving COVID? You know, I know that you're doing a lot of things. You're a philanthropist. You do things in the community. You're out there. What things? Any new developments? Anything that you have done during this time period during COVID? Because you know, it's like,
Mm-hmm.
oh well, I don't have time because I got to go to work. Then all of a sudden, COVID-19, and now you have all of the time to do everything that you always thought about and can imagine.
Right, right. Well, I've been fortunate enough to retire to basketball, and I've been able to be a stay-at-home dad. So I was already home every day. So, but I still had a job. I still have to work. I still put in work for other things. My foundation is key, as I'm trying to save this next generation from themselves. And we as adults, it's our situation, our scenario that we got to start planting better trees. A lot of these parents are allowing these kids to wild out, but it's their leadership that is lacking. This making this generation fall off. And then, of course, social media influences them a lot more. But during COVID, man, I just felt like that I just wanted to continue to build our communities back together. Like, you're not going to always please everybody, but the fact is you have to do something. You can't stand by the sideline, expect to get in the game, and then wonder if you lose the game, then you'd be like, well, man, I didn't know this is that. Well, if you're not in the game, you're not going to help. Like, you just got to do something. So for me, it was just getting involved and knowing I'm in Louisville, Kentucky. What I've done is got behind the closed doors and try to get these laws changed. We got the no knock warrant changed. So now we got that done. But we've been doing behind the scenes because everybody's rioting and protesting. But if you don't change the laws, man, these people not changing. We got to get in the real system. We protest and it's cool. But if you're not getting these laws changed and getting people held accountable, it's not going to change. It's going to slow down. It's going to pick back up years later. It's been going on for too long. They're too comfortable about doing this. So I just wanted to get behind, the scenes to try to get these laws changed in some kind of way to protect us, protect all people, especially Black people. We're the only race in the history of the world been hung on a tree. The only race. So I think we just need to focus on, getting all good people, white, Black, everybody in the world, good people to work together. Cause I told this guy the other day, I said, if you go, I said, do you believe in heaven or hell? And he was like, yeah. I said, so when you go to either one, do you think it's only going to be one race there? He looked at me and was like, oh man, you're right. Yeah, right. Because guess what? Wherever you go, there's going to be another race. You're going to have to live with other people. There's no way around that. You can go to any country, anywhere. You're going to be around another race of people. You got to treat good people the same way. Everybody's just got to be good to each other. Nothing else, just respect them and move on.
Absolutely. And that was so valid. That was a valid point, talking about, you believe in heaven or hell. When you get there, there's going to be somebody that looks different than you. This is it's a melting pot is what it is.
You're not going to go for one race just because you think you're good. No. Wherever you go, it's going to be a black and white person there.
Absolutely, absolutely. Which leads me right into the bubble. What are your thoughts of that? I think basketball is so hot right now. It's just basically like going to LA Fitness and watching these guys go at it. You know what I'm saying? And they look damn good at it too. And
Yeah.
so, the girls and the guys, and I knew that if anybody could pull it off, Dereck, if
Mm-hmm.
anybody could pull it off, it was going to be the NBA and the WNBA. And, we are the blueprint for every other sport.
Mm-hmm.
We are the segue into this new COVID-19 uh, atmosphere generation, how to do things, how to stay healthy, and developing this protocol. And now that they're in the bubble and they've been in there, now we're at the playoffs. I'm watching Boston last night, and what a fantastic game.
Mm-hmm.
Looking forward to just the playoffs and what that's going to bring, and the players handling the situation so well. And we had that lockout for like 2 or 3 days because the players just really felt overwhelmed, first and foremost, because they were definitely, even though everything was laid out for them, adverse conditions. You're away from your family. You can't really be interactive the way that you want to be because there's a deadly disease out there. You have to take a lot of things into consideration. They shut it down. They refocus. They come back. They say, okay, we're going to continue to do this. If you were a player in that room, tell us what you think transpired to make all of this stuff happen.
It's a lot that goes on with that. When we had our lockout in '98, we went to meetings and whatnot, and it was a lot. Like, I mean, when I tell you it was so much going on, and it's not the same because this is COVID and that was a different scenario, but everybody had their own opinions. Like, you get so many mixed opinions, and like to get a final answer, it was tough. I'm sure it was tough. Like, it wasn't like, so, well, hey, 90% here, 10%. It might have been 60, it might have been 51-49. And imagine if 49% of the players say we ain't playing.
Mm.
Now you got a real issue. But you said it earlier, we're a blueprint because we just hoop to hoop. Like, when you look at the ballers in the WNBA and the NBA, most of those guys just hoop. Like, you didn't have to give most of these guys a check because when they go in the gym, we just hoop. That's what we do. Like, that's our mindset. So I think when they went to that bubble situation, I think they weren't looking at it from a standpoint where I'm risking anybody's life because it was their own. It wasn't like, hey, fans don't have to come this and that. I think they all said, you know what? We're hoopers. This is what we do. This is what we love. Let's rock. That's just my personal thought that's what happened. And again, so many people didn't believe. So many people were talking about not playing, but I think because you are that is the love that you have, you're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of love in that bubble, I tell you. Just players just playing their hearts out, bodies flying everywhere. Hella emotional, emotional up in there. And, it just feels like they're playing for something.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like they're playing for something more than a championship,
Yeah.
And it looks like it's the atmosphere, the women, Brianna, say her name, just the whole movement. And for me, on the outside looking in, and I know this is what every other former player out there. What ways can we get involved on this? Because we're literally on the outside, so we're not playing basketball, but we're on the outside. What ways do you think that we can create change?
Well, I think we have to go into it the same way that we've always gone to when we did play. You have to step up and use your name, use your power, use the information, use your connections. You just got to step up and do something. Everybody's not going to be doing the same thing. Like, if I was a guard, I'm a shooting guard. I'm not going to be going down here and trying to block shots. That's just not my role. I'm going to go ahead and put buckets in the hole. I let you rebound, let you block shot. That's your job. So for us as retired players, we got to find a new role to play. But like I said, you just got to go get in the game. Can't sit back and just be watching. You got to go do something. And I'm not telling everybody they have to do whatever they have, as far as making you do something. But for me I have to get in the game some kind of way. And that's what I've been doing. Just trying to find out, what do you need from me? What can I do here? What can I do there? And actually pulling things together. I'm not out just here just to be trying to make friends or whatnot. I'm trying to make sure that we get things done for our community and for our people.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have so many people that have attach themselves to BLM for the wrong purposes, whether it's for, self-production or, to take the whole thing and put it in reverse. And so you have to really be careful who you attach yourself to. And that's really important that you said that, just connecting yourself with those people that can actually create change and get you involved. And it's something as simple as you yourself going and, speaking to your city officials and, getting in touch like that. And so those are things that I've done. And, this community thing isn't something that we just started doing.
Right.
As professional athletes, we've been doing it for a long, long time. And from the CHKD, I mean, I know San Antonio was just an awesome organization to play for. Both of us played for that organization. You were there. You got the opportunity to be over there with Timmy. I don't know if you were there when Ron was over there. I don't know. You weren't over there when Ron was over there. I was there when Ron was playing there.
Okay.
And Ginobili. And so
Right.
who was the all-star cast that you had over there?
David Robinson, Avery Johnson, Steve Kerr. We had a good squad.
Wow.
We had a really nice squad.
Yeah, you did. Just now you're making me remember. Y'all were like that was a championship team over there too. But you go to Miami and get that thing, and I'm looking at the picture and I'm like, wow, just the people that you were taking the photo.
Right.
You had that photo there with Antoine
Right.
Walker. I see that. And then you're there. I forgot about Gary Payton over there and Jay Williams and
players. Our bench were all-star players at one time, just a few years ago. It was me, Gary Payton, Antoine Walker, and Alonzo Mourning coming off the bench. like you got Hall of Fame. You got guys who've been starting and putting in work their whole careers coming off the bench, and we accepted our roles, and that's why we won. Nobody was trying to do too much. Everybody accepted their roles, played their roles. Alonzo Mourning had a lot in his tank still, and he was coming off the bench. He didn't ask for a trade. He didn't complain because of Shaq. He said, no, when my time comes, I'm going to go in and go to work. Period.
Absolutely. I'm looking at, and that actually may have been the beginning of, these superstar teams, because when you look at that team, and that was back in the day, not back in the day, but it's back in the day. I mean, if you look at it realistically, those, you start to see the beginning stages of people building these superstar teams, but, they left out the, let's all get along and play the role component together so we could win the championship nowadays. But, it's coming back. I'd like to definitely see a lot more former players in the leagues so that the players can understand what it takes to win. We're starting to see more and more of it. So, it's an awesome thing. I definitely want you to discuss how people can get in contact with you and to help develop your community programs. I know you got a lot of things out there. Talk about some of the programs that you have going on in Louisville, in Kentucky, or even beyond Kentucky, and ways that people can get in touch with you.
Well, I have a program. It's called Program U. And what that does is whatever we do, we try to work with people to do whatever they enjoy doing. Like, you can get an education, but you got to figure out what's your best means of your life success. And it could be whatever it may be. We want to enhance that. We're not telling you, hey, you only can do this, or you can't do, or you're not going to make it. We want them to figure out what they're good at, and then we enhance it. So for me, the first thing I want to do is get their attention as far as their mental capacity. So we do things called Everything is A-OK, which is acts of kindness. So for them, before they ever get in my program, they have to send a video of them doing something nice. It could be making up their mother's bed. It could be bringing their brother's sisters some food to the table. It could be cleaning up the neighborhood. Send me a video, then we can get you in a program. And then we help kids around the country. I mean, I got programs in Tampa, California, and in New York, and we have one in DC now. And what we do is just go around the country and we just put these programs in and implement them. And what they do is we act life out. So we don't just talk to them, we have them actually act it out. So it's like role playing. What would you do if this? What would you do if that? When you get a job interview, shake someone's hand and the other person just says, yes, sir. And one person says yes, the other person says yes, sir. Which one you going to hire? The one who said yes, sir, because they're polite. You know, you got to start learning common sense people skills. So the program is built around common courtesy, and then finding what you're great at, and then we enhance that. So you can go to staminafd.com. That's staminafd.com, and it shows everything that we're doing. We're getting kids computers right now because some of them can't finish school. They share a computer with their parents, so we're getting them computers. But we're just making sure guys that they get an opportunity to succeed in life, and then we try to help them from there.
Absolutely, that sounds great. And also, what social media handles can people find you on? You know, say, hey, listen, I just saw this show. I want to catch up with DA. How do they catch up with you?
You can go to mine is Dereck L. Anderson on all of them: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram's Dereck L. Anderson, and then my foundation is Stamina Foundation on all of them. And you can catch me and see what we're doing. We're having a good time. I don't cuss, wild out. We just have a good time, have fun, and motivate people.
I mean, that's awesome. I mean, yeah, you are one of a kind. You're one of the few people who don't do a lot of things, you know, and is getting it done. You know, I mean, a lot
Yeah.
of times people think that they need drugs, alcohol, and
Mm-hmm.
they need different components to survive or to stay up or to be happy or to get to the next level. And you don't have to do those things. You don't have to be that way. It's okay to be your own person, and you know, and become who you are without the outside influences. It's okay to create your own lane. It's okay to be Robert Frost and travel the road less traveled, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, and you
Yeah.
know, I got
Get on your own road.
exactly. You know, I always say to people, I got miles to go before I sleep and promises to keep. Robert Frost was my favorite, and you know, something about that road less traveled, and it wasn't because I loved the poem. It was because that's what I was living, the poem. Actually, I'm over here missing birthdays, missing events, missing parties, missing anniversaries, missing Christmas, missing Thanksgiving, doing those different things so that I could have success. People don't realize how much it takes to be successful, and they also don't realize how many times they got to get knocked down and get up, because your success is not measured by how many times you get knocked down. It's by how many times you stand up. So if you get knocked down 7 times, stand up 8, you know, and that's the way that it is. And I'm just so blessed and so happy to have had you on this segment. It's a segue to some greater things. We're definitely going to do some more. And once again, you're listening to Sunday Brunch with Adrian Goodson. And as usual, we have an all-star cast of ballers, which makes for a great show. We were featuring Dereck Anderson, a.k.a. Mr. Kentucky, a.k.a. Mr. Buckets on the show. Peace to you, brother. I
Much love.
appreciate you coming on the show.
You know I love you, sis, always.
Cool.